Boston Celtics started slow again, but they stuck to the plan even though it looked like it wasn't going to work. Talk about this win over the Brooklyn Nets right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season. Drop Jrue in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Bean Town's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday. This is a bonus podcast for your Saturday because the Celtics played basketball, and so I am going to talk about the Celtics win over the Brooklyn Nets in overtime. I'll talk about the script that they stuck to. I'll talk about Jayson Tatum being challenged to play some defense, their slow start. It's all coming up on this bonus podcast. I'm John Karalis. I am covering the Celtics team as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering the Celtics for about 20 years now. I'm also the author of Built Different, a book celebrating Banner 18. It's one of 2 books, both available on my website, johnkaralis.com. 2 Celtics books. Buy one, buy both. Get them for the holidays. Get them for a birthday. Get them for a gift. Get them for yourselves. $30, signed, personalized. Gets them to your door in the United States. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. And if you do so and win, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Just win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com to get started. All right. Let's just look at the basics, the basics. Celtics win at 108-104. This was we'll call it a defensive battle, even though there wasn't a lot of defense being played here. Celtics fell behind by 14 early. It was a 16-2 run to start the game. So right away, Celtics look bad. As Al Horford said after the game, we've eased into the last couple of games, and we can't do that. Very nicely put, Al Horford. They eased into those games. They started slow. They didn't take the Golden State Warriors seriously. They didn't take the Brooklyn Nets seriously, and each team came out and smacked the Celtics in different ways. The Warriors more defensively, the Nets more offensively. Cam Thomas, MVP candidate, apparently. He came out and just was balling in this one, which is not a surprise. I mean, he's a good player. He can score. But he comes out, plays great. So the Celtics, slow start, right? It's Jayson Tatum picks things up. Payton Pritchard picks things up in the second quarter. Jrue Holiday all over the place throughout this game, scoring the first basket for the Celtics and all of that. Like he was kind of everywhere the Celtics needed him to be. And that's exactly, that's his role. After the game, Joe Mazzulla called him kind of a Swiss Army knife. He doesn't care about the minutes that he plays. He doesn't care about what he's asked to do. He just goes out there and he does it. It was kind of funny after the game. Jrue Holiday was like, I love basketball, which drew a couple of laughs in the locker room, but I think he was like, that was a serious, earnest answer. Like, I don't think he was being kind of like silly with the answer. I think he's just like, I love basketball. Like, this is what I do. I play it. I'm good at it. I love it. And so I'm going to do whatever I can. So Jrue Holiday was definitely the glue here throughout the early going that kind of kept things close. Payton Pritchard also part of that, not just hitting threes, but getting to the rim, finding his way. And Tatum mentioned this after the game, this unorthodox style, very, very little man, little guard kind of play. He's not a small person. It's not like he's Isaiah Thomas out there, but he's small by comparison, And he just finds ways. All of these smaller guards find a way to use their body and get to where they need to go. Pritchard is right there. So Pritchard was big early, and then he hit a big fadeaway in the middle of the lane in overtime. I mean, the guy's got stones, man. He's out there in the middle of the trees. Holiday was on a FanDuel show, Run It Back, and he was asked who's the toughest defender who's the toughest player to defend outside of Jayson Tatum. He said it might be Payton Pritchard. He says we run a drill at practice, which is just guard Payton Pritchard full court. The Celtics, Joe Mazzulla, who has all of the weird, hey, we're going to pass a baton, we're going to be like track stars, and we're going to be like the Red Sox, and we're going to watch killer whale stuff, and all of this crazy Joe Mazzulla, innovative, however you want to call it, stuff. And one of his drills is just, go guard Payton Pritchard. Just do it full court. Go guard him. That tells you a lot about Payton Pritchard. Also tells you about, how he's getting so good. I mean, if he's out there and Holiday and White and Tatum and Brown all have to guard him full court, you got to be pretty good. So Pritchard gets out there and has a big impact. But the slow start is, I don't want to say concerning. We talked about it in yesterday's podcast with Tom Westerholm. Not concerning, but the Celtics last season to this season, one of the biggest differences is that last season they kind of bucked the traditional norms of a good team. They rarely played down to the competition. They were constantly engaged for 48 minutes. They didn't blow a ton of leads, not like they had in the past. I mean, no lead is safe, and they did blow a couple, but it wasn't as pronounced as before. This year, they are very much, it seems, more in the traditional mode of, we are a good team, we are the champions, we're not going to go 100% 48 minutes. And that's a challenge for them, and it's a challenge for Joe Mazzulla. And it was a challenge for Jayson Tatum in this game. Tatum said after the game that Mazzulla challenged him to be a better defender. And Mazzulla after the game, he never takes shots at his players outwardly. But every once in a while, he throws a little thing in there that if you listen, it's there. And this one was kind of blatant as Joe Mazzulla gets. He said of Tatum, quote, he has the ability to impact the game on both ends of the floor. Well-rounded basketball. So I don't really care if he gets 30 a night if he doesn't do all the other stuff that's most important to winning. When he does that, we're a different team. And that goes for him, that goes for Jaylen, that goes for all our guys. So he made a decision in the middle of the game that he was going to impact both ends. And when he does that, we're a different team. So we did a great job of that. Now, did you pick up on the very obvious phrase, I think, where he kind of took just a tiny little dig at Jayson Tatum? It's where he said in the middle of the game, he made a decision in the middle of the game that he was going to impact both ends. He didn't make the decision at the start of the game. He didn't come into the game thinking he's going to make an impact on both ends. In the middle of the game, he made a decision to make an impact on both ends. Just a little subtle shot. Hey, just letting everybody know that Jayson needed to be coaxed into playing defense. And he was not playing great defense at the beginning. The Celtics weren't playing great defense in the beginning. Third quarter, fourth quarter, yeah. Fourth quarter, the Celtics won at 18-16. I don't even remember the last 18-16 or similarly a low-scoring quarter. For both teams, that it's been a while. For the Celtics to end a game, to end regulation at 94 points, that's incredible. Now, part of that obviously was the horrible shooting from three, which is the sticking to the script part. But I'll get to that in a second. But the defense was, it had to be there. The defense had to be there for them to even have a chance. Shout out to Brooklyn. They play hard. They've got some talent. When they get going, they are tough to stop. Very much in the Celtics mode of we're going to take all the threes that we can. We'll get to the rim kind of as a secondary thing. And they just play at a fast pace. And Cam Thomas was great. Cam Johnson, the killer Cams, were great in this game. They got a lot of product. Dennis Schroeder had some really nice plays. Even Ben Simmons had a couple of nice plays, nice passes, a couple of nice finishes too, going to his right, of course. But overall, slow start. Defense kept them in it. And then the shots started to fall. The Celtics have a script. They stick to it, and doesn't matter. We'll talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can get a big return right now on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You place a $5 bet over at FanDuel.com. You win, you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Very simple. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, the NBA, whatever you want, all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. If you were smart, you took the Celtics, you took the Nets, getting 13.5 in this game against Boston. Obviously, the Celtics didn't cover the spread. Brooklyn does not have a tendency to get blown out in games, and they prove that again. They play hard even when they lose. And so if you had taken the points and took Brooklyn with your $5 bet, you would have gotten $150 in bonus bets because your first $5 bet would have won. Go to FanDuel.com. Use the tools that they have available to set your limits, set your budget. Have fun over at FanDuel.com. Make sure that you are playing within your limits so you can go and just gamble responsibly. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Remember the lineup here. We got 2 podcasts on the audio feed. Locked On Celtics postcast, Steve Lennox. Right after the game ends, he goes live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page. Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page. When he's done with that, the audio goes up on the Locked On Celtics audio feed. Then, when I'm done, after I've talked to Jayson Tatum and Al Horford and Jrue Holiday and Joe Mazzulla, I do my writing. I come and do my podcast with a little bit more in depth of what they said and a little bit more kind of nuance to the game. So that is also on the Locked On Celtics audio feed, but alone on the Locked On Celtics YouTube feed. Got it? That's the lineup. Make sure you've got that down. So when you see 2 podcasts on your audio feed, you're like, what? Yeah, that's how we are doing it now. All right, back to this game. This is a bonus podcast. I'm not trying to be like crazy about this one, but to me, the big story is the shooting and trusting the shooting. They stuck with it. Things weren't going their way, and they just continued to believe in their structure. They continued to believe in the principle. And Joe Mazzulla said after the game, he was asked, how tough is it to stick to this plan when, the shots aren't falling? And he said, it's not that hard. It's not that tough. You got to live by principle, not by feeling. Not the best Joe Mazzulla quote, but it's, it's definitely Joe Mazzulla kind of feel to it. Celtics were 14 of 18 in the restricted area. They were getting to the rim. They were getting there and succeeding. So it would seem to say like, well, you are getting there and succeeding. Why don't you just keep doing that? Because I would say of the 53, this is crazy, 53 3-pointers that the Celtics took, I would say about a handful maybe were like, And that includes the Jayson Tatum last second shot at the end of regulation. Let me just pause the thought here on the 3-point shooting and get to the end of regulation. Celtics ran an awesome play. We've seen that play before. The Marcus Smart play with Jayson Tatum kind of in the backfield, shakes the guy that's guarding him. And Jrue Holiday this time, it was Marcus Smart before, comes up, gets the ball, turns, bounce pass to Jayson Tatum in for the dunk. Beautiful play. Love seeing it. You kind of know what's coming, but you can't stop it because all of the other guys are threats. There are options all over the floor. Tatum gets the dunk. They go up. Now, Tatum has a stupid foul on the other end. They end up tying the game. And here the Celtics are again with like 7 seconds or so. And what do you get? A Tatum up fake, step back, awkward 3-pointer. So 2 things there. One, if you're going to do that and you get the up fake, let the guy land on you. You had him faked. You just need a point. You just need one. You had him faked. Go up with the shot. Let him land on you. Do that little kind of, if you're going to take a crappy shot anyway, then once you've got him in the air, lean into it and get that foul. You're going to get the foul call. I don't understand why he sidestepped that. Take the foul. Get to the free throw line. You'll probably get 3 free throws. Make 2, 3, whatever. They're not going to have a lot of time. There's a good chance you're going to win that. You've done your job. But secondly, don't take that shot in the first place. Why? Is that the only shot that the Celtics get at the end of games? Why is that the only shot that they get? I know Jaylen Brown isn't here because he missed his 4th straight game with the hip thing. Not a big deal. I still don't think it's a big deal. Don't worry about it. But I don't get that they can't set a pick, something, one screen. Tatum's going to get doubled. Okay. Then you kick it to another guy who's wide open, right? It doesn't have to be Tatum. Tatum can pass the ball at the end. I don't like the play call. Or maybe you start Tatum off the ball and do you not trust? I know that there's the potential for a turnover and a disaster. I would rather risk the turnover on their way to getting a decent shot. Like they run offense all day long. And yeah, they turn the ball over, 13 times? But 13 times out of how many possessions, right? And that was a lot of them were early. But regardless, you run plays all day long and you barely ever turn it over. Why can't you run offense in that situation? Why are you so afraid of that turnover there? I get it. Turnover there, that ends the game. But you can't be afraid of that stuff. You're the Celtics. You got Derek White and Jrue Holiday, and you guys can easily run a handoff or something. You're good enough to do it, or fake the handoff. If use Tatum as the decoy every once in a while. Get the ball into Derek White, fake the handoff with Jayson Tatum, and run something back door so you can get a layup. Like, take advantage. It's the Brooklyn Nets. They're not the best offensive team in the world. So, needless to say, I did not like that 3-pointer. But mostly, I think almost all of the 53 were good looks. They were good looks. And that's the Celtics plan. It's not, hey, we're taking 53-point shots. It's we're getting the best looks. And that involves defender and where the defenders are. Also, it involves the math. 3 is more than 2. So the Celtics kept taking them. They had a problem early in the game. So they started Xavier Tillman, and he wouldn't take them early in the game. And that was a problem. So Tillman ended up 0 for 3. This was he played 6 minutes. He was a -14. It was a bad stretch for Tillman. Really bad. No sugarcoating that. He'd probably tell you that. He was tentative. He had at least 2 or 3 looks where he passed up shots, and the Celtics need him to take the shots. Now he ended up taking 3. By that time, I think it was discombobulated. I think at that point it was in his head. He missed badly, and he needed to come out of the game. And I'm not surprised that he didn't go back in. I think they started Tillman so Kata could match up with Ben Simmons and just completely sag off a non-shooter. But that changed because Tillman was so just ineffective. But when you run your offense and you generate a good corner 3-pointer and that player doesn't take it, like I think everybody on the floor just relaxes just that little tick, because you've done everything. You run your offense, boom, there's that guy in the corner, you got it to him. All right, now you're like, okay, I'm going to start looking for a guy to box out, or I'm going to start getting myself in preparation for an offensive rebound. So like within like a half a second, you're like, okay, I'm turning. This is my next action. And then he drives. You're like, oh crap, I've got to react. And it just throws the whole offense off. It gets clunky at that point because now guys are shocked, and you don't want people to be shocked. You expect when you kick that shot is going up, and when it doesn't, it becomes a little bit of a scramble. So when Tillman was not taking those shots, I think the offense got a little, whatever. Then he missed those shots, and it just became messy. I think that might have been part of the start, their slow start defensively, and the slow because the offense just wasn't running as smoothly as it was before, like as it usually does. I think it threw the whole thing off, and the Celtics went into a funk. But they stuck with it because the shots were there. Now, a guy like Sam Hauser kept taking the shots. You look at Sam Hauser, and you're like, 2 of 10. Why is he taking 10 when he only made 2? If you gave Sam Hauser those 10 looks, if you said, okay, we're going to script this, the NBA, the NBA is rigged and we're going to rig it. So 82 games, Sam Hauser gets those exact same 10 looks over 82 games. If he got those same 10 shots, Sam Hauser would lead the league in 3-point shooting by a mile because they were good looks. And more often than not, that 2 of 10, Joe said it after the game. There's a 6 of 10 coming. And I think there would be more 6 of 10s than 2 of 10s if he got those exact looks. That's why he kept shooting. And that's the whole thing with the Celtics. When the good looks come, you got to take those shots. I know that they were getting to the rim. I know that they shot well from the restricted area, but those 3-pointers, they were there. And after the game, Jayson Tatum said, we know the next one is going in. You have to know the next one is going in. I asked him about, do you ever, when you're looking, like there was a play with, it was 2:12 left to go. He's driving down and the Celtics are down 2 with 2:12 to go. Brooklyn just misses. He's driving down the middle of the floor. He gets by his guy. The guy's on his hip. A defender slides over, but not like to take a charge, to challenge. And in that moment, I can see Jayson Tatum. You just need 2 to tie the game, going up for a dunk or trying to finish that layup or something. And looking around, being like, there's Sam. Sam's a little cold. Maybe I'm not going to give it to him. So I asked them, do you have this feeling of, hey, he doesn't have it going. I'm Jayson Tatum. Let me just do this. And he was like, no, never. I would never think that. Quote, oh, blank. Sam just missed the last 2 shots. I'm not about to pass it to him. No, I would never, ever think that. Like, that's Tatum comes down, the defender slides over, and he's like, the math. Joe Mazzulla's voice is in his head telling him, we don't take contested layups. Contested layups are like turnovers. Open corner guy gets the ball. It's Sam Hauser. He was 1 of 8 at that point, and he gets the ball. He hits that shot. And you don't know if Jayson went to try to finish that. Maybe he does finish it. And maybe they win in regulation. Or maybe he gets blocked. Or maybe he gets fouled and they don't call it. Because there were a couple of times he got hammered in this game and they didn't call it. And whatever permutations of that sliding door there are, there's a chance that that becomes a miss. And we've seen the missed layup turn into points on the other end. And all of a sudden you're down 4. This, you drive, you kick, you believe that next shot is going in. And it did. So Sam Hauser, before that shot, there was a play. The Celtics had just gotten a stop. They were on a little bit of a run. And it was the talk about scripted. This was perfect. They score, they come down, they get a stop, they come back down. Ball movement. Boom, boom, boom. Around the perimeter. It gets to Sam Hauser, left corner 3, wide open. Perfect. He's going to snap out of his slump. This is the shot. The Celtics are going to run. They're going to run away with this in the fourth quarter. Clang, misses it. They call a timeout. He comes back. He's got his hands on his head. He's leaning back. He's like, ah. Jrue Holiday comes up to him, taps him on the chest. No. Don't do that. Al Horford comes up to him, starts talking to him, goes to the bench. Al Horford's telling him on the bench. Jayson says this. Horford's on the bench saying, don't ever put your head down. You always got to believe the next one is going in. So they're encouraging him. They're pumping him up. They're like, you just keep doing it. And to Sam's credit, he comes out of that moment and gets 2 huge rebounds. By the way, Sam Hauser, 2 of 10 shooting from 3, 8 points, plus 15. Team high plus 15. 4 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, which led to a Jrue Holiday layup. That gave the Celtics the lead. He had a big defensive rebound right in that same stretch. So he came out there, even after that miss, was doing other things. He was defending. He had 3 steals. He also had 3 assists. So credit to Sam Hauser. He never let the misses affect the rest of his game. So he comes out, he hits that shot, huge shot. How about Al Horford? Al Horford was 1 for 6, I believe. Gets the shot. The Celtics are down 6 with a few minutes to go. Celtics get to Al Horford. He gets the ball. He shoots it. 1 of 6. We've seen Al Horford get streaky like this. Gets it, nails it. All of a sudden, that triggers a 12-6 run to close the game and tie it. Send it to overtime. And in overtime, he gets another shot. Hits the one that puts the Celtics up for good. So, even though you look at Al and you go 3 of 9, Sam Hauser 2 of 10, but Sam's shot was huge. The 2 that Al hit in the last few minutes of the game plus overtime, huge. You never know when that last one, that next one will be the last one that you need. So the Celtics stick to the script. I know it's tough. I know people don't like it, but this game shows that even though you're not making the shots, they took 53 3-pointers. Even though you're not making them, if you're generating the good ones, you got to keep taking them because you never know. The Celtics have really good shooters. Tatum, Horford, White, Holiday on the floor, Pritchard, Hauser, all guys that you trust taking that shot. You got to keep taking them. And they did. And the final number doesn't look great, but they hit the ones that mattered. And that's the big thing. The volume, sometimes you just got to keep taking them. Ultimately, the Celtics outscored Brooklyn by 12 at the 3-point line. Outscore them by 4 at the free throw line. That's how you end up getting this win, even though Brooklyn was scrappy and tough and they got great performances from, the two Cams and Dennis Schroeder. Stick with it. Stick with it. One last thing I just want to say, Jayson Tatum, the corner 3-pointers, he was 5 of 13 overall from 3, 5 of 5 from the corners. He came into the game shooting. He came into the game with 3 total corner 3-pointers for the season before this game. He hit 5 in this game. I would love to see the Celtics get him more corner 3s, start the ball in Derek White's hands, run some pick and rolls with him. Derek White can step into 3-point shots. He's a great pull-up shooter. He can get to the paint. He has a great floater. He's a great passer. He processes the game incredibly well. Start more offense with Derek White and Jayson Tatum spacing in the corner. Let's do that a little bit more. It worked in this game. There were a couple of spots in transition where he got the ball in the corner. Get Tatum a few more looks from the corners. It's a great way to get him going. Let's see it a little bit more. It just doesn't have to be these other guys who are in the corners. Corner 3 is the most coveted shot in the NBA. Wide open corner 3. So let's get Tatum some more of that. Okay, those are my thoughts for the game. I'm sure there'll be more, but Celtics play Sunday afternoon, 3:30 game. So I'll be back after that. I'll rewatch this game and then maybe fold in some other thoughts into that. We'll see how it goes. Milwaukee just got smoked by the New York Knicks. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Milwaukee Bucks other than they can't defend anybody. And that should be a fun one on Sunday. So I'll be there. I'll be here after that game. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to the audio feed. Get into the comment section on YouTube. Let me know what you're thinking. And I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.